Hi, this is Susan Colby and it's CI 5130, and what I'm going to do is prepare a few videos to talk a little bit more about our assignments. The first assignment that I'm going to be talking about is the Community Partnership Project. You should be able to see my screen, and I'm going to go into the guidelines. Just remember that the whole point of the Community Partnership Project is to better understand a certain population in a school of your choice and how the community can support that population and what teachers can do as advocates for underserved students and students in specific populations with high need. So given that, you're going to want to find first of all, of course, select the school that makes sense for you. Perhaps it's a school you worked in for student teaching or teaching at this time, or one in your neighborhood. Pick the school and then look at the demographics in that school, study the student population, and then also look at the community support system around you. Find an organization that does fit nicely into the schools. I'm going to ask that you honor the idea of separation of church and state and try to stay away from church or religious affiliated service organizations, unless you can really justify how they're not proselytizing and that they're just there for that particular population. You can read these guidelines, so I'm not going to go into all of them, but again, find out the demographics of the school and pick the right organization for you. You're going to do a little bit of a literature review to get started. You need to understand, and I'm going to use the example of homelessness. Perhaps in one school there it's a very high population. So then you would get into the literature on homelessness and the effects on schooling and learning, not just who they are, demographics and statistics, but what does that mean for learning in schools. So make sure your lit review is focused on the effects of homelessness and that particular population on school-age children. So do use peer-reviewed resources and strong scholarly articles. You can also use some government and organizational websites, but they should be vetted and they should be organizational, like educational organizational websites. You're going to develop a community plan, how you'll spend 10 hours. As you know, a first hour, maybe hour and a half, can be spent interviewing the center director or other people, just to get a lay of the land of what they do, what the purpose is, how they operate, and that type of thing. You will want to produce your focus questions early so that you don't go into the interview without good quality questions that will help you achieve your goal. The rest of the hours will then be spent in observations, operational things like working with people, going to, if they're providing food, bank or whatever, distributing food, that type of thing. Really working with the population, like the homelessness population, so you can better understand what it is like for that condition for students. Now, of course, you want to be unobtrusive and you don't want to go in with a series of questions and a pad, but do be aware and be thinking, and do drop notes immediately after your observations, because you're going to want to be able to better understand that population and how they can be served, and that's the whole goal. So those 10 hours, you'll do the plan, and then you'll actually start to implement the project. And that's what the community service documentation is, which you can see here toward the end. At the very end, you'll be writing a reflection. This is probably one of the most important pieces. What have you learned? What does it mean for you both personally and professionally now that you know more about this population? What can we do to serve this population better? What can schools do? What can you do as a classroom teacher? And the one thing that this class really strives for is for you to become an advocate in the school for a variety of underserved populations and or students with special needs. So think about yourself in the role as an advocate, and think about how might your actions affect your school now that you have more information. Last, of course, it'll be expected that you have your reference list in APA format. So that's the Community Partnership Project, and hopefully that was helpful. And please do feel free to contact me with any questions.